Hi everybody, my name is Scouter Girl Guide and I wanted to make a video today to show you guys how to make a buddy burner so that you guys can do some camp style cooking still at home while we're all staying indoors and away from people doing social distancing during COVID. Buddy burner being an alternative camp source cooking style would count for Scoutcraft 6.2 for your OAS Canadian Path, and it would also count under Camping Skills 5.8 as well for anyone interested in sending their finished products to their scouters to show them that they've completed those skills. Hold on, and I'm going to show you what kinds of tools we're going to need next. Okay, so let's explore the things that you're going to need to build your buddy burner. First, we need to build a heat source, and for that you're going to need a tuna tin. Hopefully you guys have something similar like this at home. Maybe you have some canned chicken or other canned meats. Also works well are pet food tins. So if you have a cat or a dog that eats wet food, you can also use those as well. You will also need some cardboard to build it as well in the center, and you're going to cut it into strips, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. You will also need some sort of wick that you can light to start your heat source up. And for that, I have two different options. If you don't have just straight wick, I've used the inside of a votive candle that I didn't need anymore. And you can also use maybe a birthday candle that has gotten a little too short for cakes now. That would fit just nicely in the center as well. And then to pour over top of our cardboard and wick, we're also going to need some wax. You can use paraffin wax if you have things like that on hand, but I'm being extra resourceful and I have some old candles that have burnt down and things like that that I no longer need that I'm going to melt and pour in here. Now, once we have our heat source built, we're also going to need our cooktop, okay? And for that, I'm using a fruit salad tin. You can find these style fruit salads at Superstore or Costco. Other containers you might find that are metal, that's the important part. Large ketchup containers, that works as well. And some still coffee tins come in metal as well if your parents buy coffee or drink coffee. Now, to make this so that it works, you're also, if you have on hand in your dad's garage or grandparents, you might want some tin snips. It's the easiest for cutting out a hole in the back to allow air in. And I also have a can opener that I'm going to make some cuts along the top and a multi-tool to help me pry those open. If you have an old school, I used them for apple juice containers when I was young, when apple juice came in a metal tin, and it was just like this triangle piece, and you could put it on the edge and you could make triangle shaped openings all along. If you maybe have one of those in your utensil drawer, that works as well. I also have with me, I just have a little bit of parchment paper. You can use wax paper, tin foil, but I'm going to lay this down on my counter surface so that I don't wreck or spill any wax on my counter surface when I'm done. And once we get this all built, then we'll head outside and I'll show you how to cook a grilled cheese on this. Okay, so we're gonna start by building our heat source. Now, anyone who's in Beavers and Cubs, you may wanna get, definitely actually get an adult to come and help you with these things. If you're in Scouts or Ventures, Rovers, I would recommend that you probably could do this on your own independently, just being mindful of the tools that you're using and the surfaces you're working on so that moms and dads don't get upset later. So with that cautionary, I just want to say that while I'm going to mark out my tuna can that I need, I'm not actually going to be scoring all the way through my cardboard on my countertop, so I won't be scratching it. I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so you don't want to have your cardboard any bigger than your tuna tin, so you're going to kind of just line it up so it's just a little bit shorter, and then I'm going to take my scissors and just kind of mark where I want to start. Okay, so I'm not poking all the way through the cardboard, I'm just scoring it, as I call. So I'm going to drag my scissors down and trying to keep them in line with how long I want it, and almost right to the edge so I don't accidentally go and scrape off on my counter. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to snap back where I've made my cut so that I can then easily cut my cardboard versus trying to muscle my way through the whole piece. Okay, you'll see that on the counter I already have a few pieces cut and ready to go to show you. Now that I have my cardboard piece cut, I'm also going to use my tuna tin to kind of just curve it around so it's more flexible. Maybe even drag it down my counter side. Okay, make it easier. Okay, so once your cardboard's all cut, then what you're going to do is you're going to grab either your candle wick or your candle, and you're going to slowly start to roll your cardboard tightly around it. And the more you have worked your cardboard, the easier it should be able to work. This. And get it all tight. It took me about 4 strips of cardboard to create one. So you'll just keep adding onto the end, and then once you're done, you're gonna put it in your can, and it should be all packed nicely, and it'll look like this as a finished product. So now what I'm gonna show you is, while I was creating this, I had my double boiler going, and I am now ready to pour my wax into my tuna can and get that. So if you want to come this way, I'll show you what it looks like as a double boiler. Okay, so I took my old tomato can that had wax in it, and I put it in another pot with some water. And what I did was I brought that pot up to a boil and just let it sit and melt. I used a barbecue skewer so that I could stir it and keep checking on it and make sure that it is all melted. Now that my wax is all done, I'm going to carry it with some oven mitts over to my can, and we're going to pour this over top. Okay? Just carefully pour it all in, and you'll see that the cardboard soaks it all up. Some of it's coming out fast. And see that my paper is catching it all, so that's why I have it down, so that anything that's popping out and spilling over the side is doing that. And it looks like it's got enough in it because it's still kind of pooling a little bit at the top. So then I'm going to put this back in my pot so that I don't put anything hot on my counter. I'm going to take my oven mitts off, and I'm going to show you what I did with my tin can now that that's ready as well. So what I did was I took my tin snips and I cut a big kind of rectangle out the back. Now this was tricky, and this is definitely something that an adult should be doing, and maybe even as scouts you might still want some help with something like this because the edges are sharp, so you're going to want to be very careful about that. Because the can opener style that I have actually creates a non-sharp edge on my can, I couldn't use it to make cuts in here. So instead what I did was I went down and I found a big nail, and I took my hammer down in my workroom and I hammered nails about every inch along the top edge. So what we're gonna do with that is, because we're going to tuck this over top like this when we go outside, this is going to get very, very hot and heat rises. So heat's going to need holes at the top to come out of. And that's how you're gonna get a really good airflow going and heat up the top side of your frying pan. So now that this is all done, I'm going to let this cool off just a little bit and harden. I might pop it in my freezer. I'm gonna get my grilled cheese sandwich ready, and then we will proceed to the outdoor portion where I can show you how I make my grilled cheese. It sounds like my dog Jessie is ready to go outside too. And so we will catch up with you on the outdoor portion. Okay, so I'm gonna set up on my barbecue outside. If you're in a camp situation, you might find a nice gravel area. You would not do this anywhere on grass or anywhere that could cause flame, because what's gonna happen is this is going to catch quite fire, and sometimes it might burn the area. But if you're on a sandy gravel area, that's a safe area, or you can use an empty fire pit where you're camping. But for today's purposes, I'm gonna use my barbecue. So I'm gonna light this to start. When my lighter decides it wants to work. It worked inside. Okay, so I've lit this up and it'll It'll take a few minutes to get down, and then I'm going to put my can over top, and now we're just going to wait until the top is nice and hot to cook on. Okay, so we've let our tin can heat up, and I started cooking on my one side of my grilled cheese. You can see that there's lots of smoke coming up. I can really smell. It really does smell like buddy burner cooking. And so what I did was I made sure to really butter the outsides of your grilled cheese like you would in a frying pan. I use bacon fat because bacon fat is tasty, and I also put a little bit kind of extra on top of my buddy burner just for a little bit of extra non-stick. You can also use some spray Pam if you want when you go to camps and things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over and now cook the other side. You can see all the heat coming off the top there. Oh, look, and you can see how nice that top of that grilled cheese looks. So we'll give it a minute or so, and it should cook up the bottom half of my grilled cheese really, really well. Okay? But see how it's important to notice that the air and the smoke is coming out of these top holes. That's why we have them there. If you can make bigger and farther spaced apart ones, that works too. Sometimes you can see the flames through the holes and coming out the back on your buddy burner. Wind can be a problem sometimes, so you might have to position them so that the wind is not blowing in the backside where your opening is. Okay. It should be done almost. It was really hot. Ooh, one more minute. The only downside to when you're cooking on a buddy burner, especially in a gravelly, sandy area, is you want to make sure that you have lots of adults watching your youth cooking, because quite often the grilled cheese will end up in the dirt. And then they may want to make a new grilled cheese, and then the adults then get stuck with sandy and gravelly grilled cheeses, which is why it's always important to serve your grilled cheese with ketchup or tomato soup or something that you can dip it in to help aid with the camp flavorings that get added to your grilled cheese. Okay, I am going to just check that. Oh, that looks nice and crunchy and perfect on the bottom. So we're just gonna slide this over. I'm gonna close my barbecue because my other kids now want to come outside and make a grilled cheese once I'm done. I'm gonna taste this and see how it is. It's good. As I chew on video. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to make a buddy burner and a grilled cheese on that. I look forward to seeing if you guys try it out with your moms, dads over this break on scouting that we have. Post in the comments anything that you like to dip your grilled cheese in. Maybe you do something different like ranch dressing. I'd love to hear some more creative ideas you think would be great to cook on top of a buddy burner like that. And stay tuned for some more baby how-to tutorials while we're on our scout break. Take care. Bye, everybody.